And people say, "Oh, you've run away, you've jumped ship." No, I haven't run away or jumped ship. I'm fed up of paying into the system because our money gets wasted. It's not the way to go forward for the economy. We need to do 6 days a week to get the economy going.
Today is a special one as we celebrate our 100th episode with Charlie Mullins.
I'm really just standing up for myself. I'm standing up for working people. I'm not prepared to go down with a sinking ship. People can call me what they want to call me, all the names under the sun, it makes no difference to me. I'm driving the Rolls Royce and they're driving the Mini.
Hi guys, welcome to Taylor Talks Trades. I'm your host, Jamie Taylor. Thank you for joining me today, and remember to hit subscribe so you can help us grow the channel and bring you more episodes like this. Today is a special one as we celebrate our 100th episode with Charlie Mullins. He's a once-in-a-lifetime guest, but thankfully for us, this is the third time he's came on the show, and this time he's up in the studio here in Scotland. Charlie talks about the UK economy, the skills shortage, and how the first year of his new company WeFix London is going. This is a big one. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get into the show. Charlie, welcome back to Taylor Talks Trades. It's now the 100th episode. You've been on twice before, but this one's a real special one. So thanks very much for coming all the way up to Scotland. How are you, mate? What's been happening the last year?
Well, it's been, as you say, it's been a year since we've done the last one, and we'd just opened WeFix London then. So we're a year down the road, and I'm very pleased to say the company's doing well. It's been a very slow start, and I think that's down to the economy and plus the fact any new company is going to struggle to start with. But we're making good progress. We're taking on more and more people, a few more apprentices. Yeah, we're starting to get there. So I'm really delighted. I'm looking back, I'm delighted the way it's gone in the year because the worst time in business is the first year, as you know.
Yeah.
And after that, it gets better, but it doesn't change overnight. So I think the worst is out the way, and I think we're just going to continue to progress. We've got a great team at WeFix. Many of them are family members, and I think most of the rest work for us when I owned Pimlico Plumbers. But we're definitely going forward, definitely going forward. And it'd be wrong to say, it's easy out there. I mean, the economy's changed. Labour are in government. It's not helping. And, unfortunately, Rachel Reeves is killing or crippling the workplace. But, at the end of the day, you're either going to make your business work or not. We can't blame anybody else. If it doesn't work, we can only blame ourselves. More you put into it, Jamie, the more you get out of it. And you know that by how long you've been doing tailored roofing now. And, so it's onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I've been seeing everything on social media. It looks good. The branding's getting out there again. More and more vans, as you said, more top engineers coming in and apprentices. Has it been harder than you thought then when you're saying with the economy was because obviously what you did in the past with Pimlico Plumbers and at its height it was hundreds of vans and hundreds of staff and
yeah.
Has it been difficult going back into that again and starting from the beginning really?
Incredibly difficult. I think I forgot how hard it is to start a business from scratch. We'd been up and running at Pimlico in 41 years when I sold it. And then to start again, you think, it's going to be booming and that, but it's not. You got to get the recognition again. You got to get people knowing of you. But we come in at a different angle this time. We come in on the angle that we're an upgrade on their previous company. We've got the best engineers, the best office staff. We offer the best service, and we've got the best vans on the road, the best marketing, and I feel that we've gone for a sort of a more upmarket clientele that wants to pay for a superior service.
Yeah.
And I'm pleased we've done it that way because if not, I think we'd have just been the level of many other companies. You need to be different. Look, I'm going to say it a bit like your own business,
Thanks very much.
So, the way we've done it is the right way, and we've gone we're not into all this AI nonsense. We're not into, people not answering the phone. We're into people, real people dealing
Good
24
personal
hours.
customer service.
Yeah, and for me that's the business we want.
Yeah.
We don't want the mass sort of here, there, and everywhere. We want a selective clientele that is happy to pay, I say it, a premium price for a premium job.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess in the old company then, when you got Pimlico Plumbers to the peak, it was probably difficult to change the things or make the improvements you maybe wanted when you had such a large staff and such a large organisation that's been running for 41 years. So I guess there's probably a freshness to that having WeFix from the start, you've been able to go, here's all the upgrades and changes I would have wanted to do, but maybe couldn't do. So it sounds like you're doing them, which is good.
Yeah,
So
look, you're
getting,
exactly right. I
yeah,
mean, you get into a position where you think we're doing okay, we stick to that, but we needed to have made changes at Pimlico, and they would have to been big changes. And one of the biggest changes would have been upgrading our staff.
yeah,
And that's the hardest thing in business. But to start afresh, yeah, you're right. You've got so much experience, so much knowledge, and drive from you've been there before. I mean, look, the way I'm going to say it as I see it. I built a plumbing empire up before, and we will build up a plumbing empire again with WeFix London.
yeah.
That's the aim.
And for anyone who doesn't actually know, which I'm sure if they're listening to this podcast, they will know you by now and they'll know the story. But you sold Pimlico for, it was over 145 million.
I think it was somewhere around about 140,
Yeah.
45, because I think we had a few shares in the continuing with the company, which we had nothing to do with it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a figure round about there, which is an unheard of figure to sell a plumbing company or any probably trade business. So we built it up to the best, and then we had a 3-year lockout clause that we couldn't trade.
Yeah.
And I had no intention of coming back into the business. I've got to be honest, no intention. I've moved to Marbella, and I've been spending a lot of time there prior to that. But all of a sudden I could see a gap in the market again. We sold the previous company to Americans, and we sold it to the largest service company in the world, Neighbourly. But they've changed it to the American way, and it ain't working. It's they've gone away from the personal service, the family service, and I've had for the last 3 years ex-customers ringing me up. When are you gonna? They're not good. Are you gonna have another company? Your company was great, and with that like coming on all the time, and then I've quite a big family, and they've had years at Pimlico, and then I thought to myself, why waste all that knowledge and experience?
Yeah.
Why waste it?
And you've got bags of energy as well. You've still got enough there in the tank
Well,
to go again. You said that the other year.
I was going to say, I often say to people when they say, what makes a good businessman, what makes a good this, what makes about this, that, and the other, you've got to have drive and ambition, Jamie.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, and you've got to be a leader.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with a follower or working for someone, but you need a leader. I'm going to go switch over to politics, a bit like the Labour government. We don't have a leader.
Yeah.
I mean, Starmer is not a leader.
See, so I asked you this on one of our previous podcasts. I think it was the second one we did, and you had been saying in the media at that time that you regretted selling Pimlico Plumbers. How are you feeling about that now? Are you wishing you'd ran it right through and just kept improving and making it better, or are you glad you got that almost like a bit of relief? The job's been done. You got your money in the bank. That was done. You didn't have to go again, but you then had a choice.
Yeah.
Are you happy how it's turned out and that you're getting to go again, or are you?
I'm over the moon with it now. Look. I think when you sell your company that you've built up, and I wanted it to grow and be the best and everything, and I thought these were the right people. It works out they're not the right people, and then when you see something being damaged and destroyed, of course you get upset, and I'm thinking to myself, God, I wish I'd have sold it to. I wanted somebody to turn it into, a national company maybe.
Yeah.
I made the wrong choice, the people I picked. And yes, I do regret that. But in the same token, I'm pleased that I've sold it, because I found out in business, the ultimate is if you can start a business from nothing and then cash it up for 145 mil at the other end to me, that's the ultimate.
Yeah. Hi guys, sorry to interrupt the show, just to say a massive thank you for tuning in to our 100th episode of Taylor Talks Trades. I wanted to quickly let you know about something I'm launching in 2026, the Taylor Talks Trades Toolbox Inner Circle. My toolbox is everything I've learned over the last 20 years in the industry, 13 years running my own business, and over 10 years and more than 150,000 invested in my own personal development, mentors, coaches, and seminars. I'm packaging it all up and documenting it so I can share it with you to help you grow your trades business and get the freedom and the profits you deserve. I'm going to be working closely with just 6 trades business owners who are serious about scaling, building the systems, processes and team so the business can run profitably without them. If that sounds like you and you want to be part of my inner circle with the knowledge, accountability and community to make it happen, then send an email to info@taylortalks.co.uk and we'll send you the details. Let's get back to the show.
That is the ultimate. And
it's very inspirational. Do you know, I think anyone who looks at what you've done and can't take inspiration from that, like, it's just insane. How they wouldn't pick up the golden nuggets out of that and think, how do I do that?
Yeah, well, I'll say the same thing, Jamie, that I've been saying for years. We all learn from somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I've come along to your headquarters today. Obviously, I'm blown away with the size of it, the way you run it. It's exactly how I would be running Pimlico, but now we run WeFix like it. And very impressive, very inspirational. And that's, look, the best way to run a business is the right way.
Yeah.
And you're doing it and we're doing it. And, you know, them type of businesses are few and far between now.
Yeah, I think going back to that, so you've done a tour today and you've picked me up on some things because I asked you to do that. I said, look, give me a little audit of how you would do it better because I know your standards are so high and I see like how much you believe in quality. So you've given me some things today, which I think as a leader myself, it's important to take advice from other leaders who would say, this is good, but you could actually make it better by tweaking this. And so that's been really helpful. But one thing I was quite interested in is, like, when you see your vans with Pimlico Plumbers in the past, but with WeFix now, they're pristine. The uniforms are pristine. Everything is just top quality. And I would like to think I've done a good effort to trying to have that brand and do that, but there is areas where it just sometimes slips away. And it does sort of disappoint you and keep you up at night. How have you withheld that such a high standard where you literally do not see one bad van? Like,
okay, well, you know, again, I believe in, you know, presentation is so important and we want to have a dirty van on the road. So at Pimlico, we set up our own car wash valeting bay. So an engineer could come in any time and it would get valeted or he would do it himself.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing complicated. That's what we've done. And, you know, again, the old company's done away with that. And it's such a shame because, you know, the amount of business you get by having a presentable van on the road.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I've seen your vans, they're tidy, but what's concerning you about your...
I guess just sometimes it might just be a cycle thing. It might just be that they're going through a cycle of some of the vans are getting older now. They've had a few bashes on them. I guess we're a bit different because it's a roofing company.
Yeah.
They'll maybe climb up a ladder on the back and go on the top of it, tie on some materials. They'll shut the door and get some mastic down the side of the van. And when you've spent so much time buying nice vans, wrapping them with all the Taylor roofs, livery and stuff, and it looks pristine and out the wrapper, but then it just gets that wear and tear. But it is a works van as well, so it's hard finding that balance and just having
it is. But what we done, you know, besides having our car valeting, we had our own mechanics, we had our own spray workshop. So, you know, if the van's damaged, it's off the road, given a spare and put back again. And, you know, I think we have 240 odd vans, so, you know, you're always going to get damaged. You know yourself, it's how difficult it is on the road. Yes, it's a working van. I agree with you. And, you know, damage, I think, for a company your size now, you have two choices. You either set up a mechanic stroke, bodywork stroke valeting.
I think that's the dream. I think from watching yourself, when so we did a tour around here, and anybody who's not seen this place will see it on that video. But this place was a bit bigger than what we needed when we moved here last year. So we've still to fully grow into that. But I took that sort of from yourself when you moved into 1 Sale Street down at Pimlico Plumbers. It was too big, but then you said, well, we could have a valet bay, we could have a mechanics in there.
That's exactly it.
So I think that is would be one of the reasons I want to keep growing is so that it's normal to have the in-house mechanics. It's
Yeah,
normal
look,
to have the in-house valeting station, if you like.
I'm telling you now that the best way to do a majority of things for your business is in-house.
Yeah.
And you've got a space here. You've got the ambition, you've got the drive, and your workshop. I mean, I can see it happening. We walked around today, and you pointed out areas that you said, well, it would work lovely there, kind of thing. And I'm agreeing with you. And all these things, you start with one person. You get a valeting guy in,
Yeah.
then you get a mechanic, and then you get a body shop, and it. We know it's got to be paid for, but you know reliable vehicles on the road. Your vehicles need to be on the road.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And I tell you what made me get my own mechanic. It was a mechanic first that we got. The van washing. We always got the guys. You got to clean your van once a week, and we go around on quality control. And look, it's got to be clean. Got to be clean. Anyhow, sometimes guys get a bit too busy, so we come up with a system. We've got a valeting bay. You need to make sure you come in every week. If we don't see them, the quality control manager's out and about, and if it's out of order, the van, he'll tell him. He'll make a point to the call centre, and when he rings in for a job, you need to come and get your van clean. And I'll do it tomorrow. No, you won't. You're doing it now.
Yeah.
And it works.
It's just
for us.
standards, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
just high
look,
standards and not letting them slip.
Most tradesmen prefer to have a nice clean van.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's something you can introduce, and you just got to start gradually. But the amount of vehicles you've got now, you do need someone. You need a transport manager that's a working transport manager. Getting it all organised. So, it's another step forward. You're going to grow into this place. We're going to outgrow it. I think you have about 10,000 square foot here, but Taylor Roofing will outgrow it the way I'm seeing. And if you like the idea of what I said about the washing of it, the mechanical side of it, and the spraying side of it, then start somewhere with it. You know what I mean? But I started off. I'll tell you what made me get first mechanic in. If our vans were going wrong or whatever they do servicing, and I'd go to this local garage. Well, in the end, right, this garage had more of my vans in the garage than what I had on the road.
Yeah.
Because it's all that, waiting for a part. Oh, what else is wrong? Oh, can't start it this week. And all of a sudden, I've gone up there one day and I'm thinking, we're short of vans. So I've gone up there to have a moan up, and he's got more vans in there than what I had on the road. And I thought, this ain't right. And they got you over a barrel. You know what I mean? Oh, it needs a new whatever it is, 600. Yeah, just fucking get it done.
Need it on the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just pay the money.
So you've already said to me your plan is to do that, and you need to do it.
Yeah.
You need to do it. The difference you'll see on it.
Yeah,
and
that
you've
does
got
make
the
sense.
space. That's the thing. Look, most people sort of build their business up and outgrow the place, and then they buy something bigger. The way you're doing it and the way I done it was we grew into the place. The business grew.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I took over the Pimlico Plumbers headquarters, the building, it was 30,000 square foot. And I came out of a building that was 2,500 square foot and one railway arch, 3,000. So 5,500 jumped to 30,000. And that 30,000, we made some changes, probably made it 40,000 probably 35,000 square foot,
Yeah.
a few other floors. And I've got to be honest with you, I'm thinking to myself, people are going to me, I didn't know what I was going to do with the space, Jamie, right? And then you think to yourself,
I remember the story, and that was an inspiration for me, where I was like, we need a bigger place.
That's it.
Because in our old place, we wanted to hire someone, and we had to look around and we go, there's nowhere to put them.
That's the same.
And then, so you weren't making the next hire you needed because there was nowhere for them to go, and then the staff were all on top of each other, and it was just...
You will grow into it.
Yeah.
Most people do it the other way, but then most people are not
Yeah.
multi-millionaires, successful businesses. So you've got to be different. And again, it's just my suggestion. The more you can do in-house, the better.
Yeah.
As we walk around today, you're talking about you want to make a canteen for the tradespeople. You want to make toilets and showers for them when they need to sort of if they've been on bad sort of weather or something's gone wrong with it. You wanted to make it more sort of, shall we say, a friendlier environment for people to
Yeah.
work in, and
You just
all
want
them things
you just want
attract
the
people.
absolute best, and it is just trying to find the balance of, having the business running, making the profits, trying to reinvest them back in. You're always trying to do a bit, then go and
Of course,
invest
look,
back in. But uh,
look,
yeah,
slowly, slowly catch the
yeah,
monkey. But
yeah.
what I have noticed is since you've been in this building, it's just over
1 year,
1 year now, I
yeah,
believe,
yeah,
and I've noticed how much you've grown. I've noticed how much the marketing is happening more. I'm hearing the name mentioned more. You're doing more podcasts. It's more social media.
yeah,
Well, to do all that, you must be growing.
yeah, definitely.
And we spoke about turnover, and you said again it's starting really to shape up,
Yeah,
and that's business. If you
yeah,
get it right, that's what'll happen.
yeah,
And I'm telling you now, you get all them things in house, then your business will continue to grow. But let's not kid anybody. The business is about quality of service.
yeah, absolutely.
Quality of service.
See the See when you're talking about, like, you moved into the bigger premises, did you have a vision of the bigger company and being anywhere near the level it got to and how you were going to sell it, or did you just see it as you're always been quite common sense
Mm.
and just went, this makes sense. I need to bring that in house because the vans are all sitting along there, so I'll bring it in house.
No,
The Allen
look,
Bay makes sense.
I
Like,
couldn't see the vision then. I knew what we had. We had a 2,500 square foot, and I put a mechanic out in the backyard, kind of thing, like some old stables. And it was getting it become too small. We did outgrow it. But when I went and looked at this building, it had sitting tenants.
mhm,
So one floor of it, 7,000 feet or 8,000 or 10,000. They had like, them old vintage cars there in the lift going up, and they stored them there. And I thought, well, that's all right. I've got a tenant, you know what I mean? Like, I pay a few quid. Then on another part of it, we had a couple of investigation companies, and they was paying a bit of rent. So I bought it with sitting tenants in, right? Thinking, well, I'm okay, going to rent this out. But within 6 months, I want them gone.
yeah,
And the best way to get rid of people is to put the rent up,
yeah,
and they go. And what I've got this guy renting 8,000 square foot. He's not paying two bob. He didn't have a lease. He didn't have nothing. But what I'd done, and people said to me, he was slippery as anything. The geezer, right? Slippery as anything. And people said to me, you'll never get him out of there. And I said, I'll get him out the proper way. And then I just want to add this story. And I'm talking to him, and I said, "How's the rent work?" And he said, "Well, I always pay pound notes and all this shit." You know what I mean? And I said, "Well, look, we've got to do it the proper way. Got to do a proper lease." So I tell you what I do. I said, "Whatever rent you're on now, I'll do you a lease, and we'll keep it at that rent."
yeah,
But what the silly bastard didn't look at was that a year later it went up by a big percent, and then I don't know, 8 months down the line, he come up to me and he went, "Well, look, I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave." He said, "I can't afford it." I thought, well, there's a shock on it. I've been working on
yeah,
it, um, you know, uh, you know, you can use that, don't don't rent out any of your land or thing you've got. Make it all about,
yeah.
your
Bring everything
business.
into it and use it all for
Yeah,
your own
because also
purposes.
you've been going 13 years, and okay, I'm talking with 41 years experience. So imagine where you'll be. You've been in here a year. I mean, if you progress 10 or 20% in the next 12 months, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're going to see you. I mean, you mentioned that you'd like to do a training academy here.
yeah,
You mentioned, more for the staff facilities. You also mentioned you just like to have it a lot more sort of, buzzing, a lot more
mhm,
moving, And
yeah,
Jamie, I know you know it, but I'm just going to add it to it. The best way to grow your business is by employing people.
yeah,
It's the worst thing in business, but it's also the best. But the good news is now there's a lot of good tradespeople out there. I know apprentices are not coming through so much now, but if they do come through now, because of how hard it is to get an apprenticeship, they're even extra keener,
yeah,
that all the tradesmen are going to be the next millionaires.
yeah,
Well, I mean, why does it need a big IT tech man to come up with that? I come up with that like 5, 10 years ago.
yeah,
If you want to be a millionaire, become a tradesman.
yeah. So on the skill shortage, then obviously we're needing more and more trades coming through. I've been looking at the training academy idea. You've spoke a lot about training. What What would you say the solution is? What should the country do? What should the government do? What's the solution to get more trades through, but quality trades as well?
Okay, well, look, it's dead simple, really. As we all know, it's a massive, massive shortage of tradespeople. Coming out of the EU has made it even worse because people are not prepared to come across now. Um, but the way forward to resolve the trades problem is government funded apprenticeships straight from school.
Mhm.
So when a youngster leaves school, university, got a job or into a government funded apprenticeship scheme. And I would say within 10 years, you would be able to turn the skill shortage round.
Mhm.
And it's not complicated. I mean, I spoke to, I think when Cameron was Prime Minister, I spoke to him about it. He liked the idea about it. I spoke to Boris about it. I was no point in talking to this twat about it because he wouldn't have a clue how to bang a nail in. But
Mhm.
a government-funded apprenticeship scheme is a way forward. Rather than giving youngsters job benefit money to sit at home, then turn it into a job allowance, give it to the employer who will then match that money
Mhm.
and take on more apprentices. I think one of the reasons a lot of apprentices don't want to do an apprenticeship is because the pay's so low.
Yeah.
So we could massively increase that. Um, and you know, the other thing you've got to, you know, start teaching youngsters at school,
Mhm.
you know, there's life without a degree. You don't need to go to university.
Yeah.
And honestly, if or not if, but when Nigel Farage and Reform get in, if I work with them on the apprentices, I'll guarantee you can resolve the youth unemployment. You can resolve the skill shortage in 10 years.
And would you see that being like a 2-year fully funded thing from the government, and then so that the cost isn't on the employer at all, or
Well, yes. Look, however long the apprenticeship is, you know, I believe no apprenticeship should be less than 3 years.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, the government needs to fund that, and as I say, the employer will match that, and so you're not looking for anything for nothing.
yeah,
Um, when I spoke, I think to Boris and other prime ministers before, they're worried about the cost of it, but you haven't got to have a brain in your head to work out the getting people into work, what it brings into you. You haven't got to work out getting youngsters off the street. The the amount of damage that's being done, the rehabilitation, going to prison, and most of these youngsters, when they get into trouble or they stab somebody, unfortunately, they say, "I've got nothing to do."
mm,
So, it, giving them automatically into an apprenticeship scheme would resolve so many problems, and the company would financially be better off for it.
yeah.
And it's unfortunate that you got people in government that just they think university is still the way forward.
I think it's a great feeling when you, like, I did an apprenticeship, traditional one in roofing, and when you come out of that, even when you're going through it, you know that you're earning your own money and you're going to earn that money for life. You're always going to have work. You're always going to make money. You can actually do your own odd jobs, at the
Well,
weekend or something as well. There's no really a cap to what you can make if you're willing to put the time and effort in.
look,
And then,
exactly. I mean, look, you know my story that when I started, I used to bunk off school, help a local plumber, and 60 years ago now, he said to me, "If you get an apprenticeship with a skill," he said, "you'll never be out of work and you'll earn loads of money." Now, if he told me that 60 years ago, I've been telling people that for 40 odd years now. It's more true today than ever.
yeah,
More true today than
yeah,
ever. I say, if you want to be a millionaire, become a tradesman.
yeah. And you're the pinnacle of the success in the trades in terms of you went on and sold for 145 million. It's probably going to be a unicorn type story where that's not going to happen to a lot of people. But the in between that is brilliant as well. You can make a lot of money, you can get into property, you can do lots of other things with a trade that if you start your own business and
Yeah,
then you
look,
start to add all these bits in, you start to turn a profit, you can put it into other stuff, you can have employing people and
yeah, look.
building that up. You
I
get
don't think you
time
start
and
off
freedom.
doing an apprenticeship with the idea that you're going to run a big business and sell it. I mean, that
Mhm.
wasn't my idea. I got the apprenticeship, and I was very, very grateful for that. And I used to. You know, you can't see the future, but I could tell someone the future now if you're a trader. I can tell you, you'll buy your own house. You'll be going on lovely places abroad. You'll have a great lifestyle because, you know, the demand is out there. And, you know, but I couldn't see it at the time. Of course I could. I mean, I had no intention of you know, running my own business. But I finished my apprenticeship at 19 and I was self-employed from then onwards.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd made a point then, I'm thinking to myself, this, you can't beat this, you know what I mean? You're your own boss. Okay, of course you work harder. But I had no intention of running my own business. I mean, if I'm being honest, it wouldn't even be in my mind, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden you see it and you think, well, we're all good at something. And once you find what you're good at, stick to it. And who's to say where it leads to?
Yeah.
But I tell you this, if you've got a chance of becoming a successful business person, then you've got a better chance if you come from the background of doing an apprenticeship. In other words, you're already 1-0 up, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, you've got that. It's almost like a comfort blanket as well. So
Exactly.
see all those risks that you were taking, and any of the risks that I've taken, I've always had in the back of my mind, I can always go and make money as a roofer
Well,
tomorrow.
that's right. I
If
mean,
it all
look,
goes wrong, I'm back on a roof, and I've never had
exactly.
to do that, but you were probably in the same boat
Well,
that,
look, I was asked that question the other day. I don't know what podcast it was. Do you know, let me just add this. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry now are doing podcasts,
yeah,
right? And that's okay, but there needs to be a value to it rather than I'm doing a podcast. And what I like about your setup is it's a proper setup. You're getting proper people on it. You're even using your own tradespeople to do their story on it. So it's very encouraging. But you know, you're getting like every Tom, Dick, and Harry and go like, "We come on my podcast. Well, what do you do?" Like, I make fucking cheese sandwiches. You know, oh, well, you know. Anyhow, moving on. What was the question?
the question was, I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
I got sidetracked, but let's maybe talk about I've seen you a lot in the media recently, and I've heard you talking about different things, but maybe get your take on sort of these changes that's been coming in. You mentioned Labour as well, but I think it was actually before them that this sort of environment was coming, maybe since COVID. But like 4-day work weeks, working from home, you seem to be dead against that. What is your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, okay, look, I'm not necessarily blaming Labour government, but they're the ones that are in power at the moment. They're the ones that, you know, make things good or bad. Um, I'm totally against working from home, totally against 4 day a week, totally against paying people for not working, for not doing anything. Um, I'm totally against pushing everyone to university. So what's really my aim behind it? I know from experience, and I know the value of going to work, and I know the value of you know um, why would you go to university now and they learn a job that we're told that AI will take over in 4 or 5 years. I mean, why would you turn up somewhere knowing in 5 years' time you ain't got that job no more? Why would you not think, well, construction is booming, as you know. Everywhere you go, it's buildings up there all over the world. You can go with it, and I just don't get why the drive is still sending people to university. They need to wake up, and the people that need to go to university, doctors, scientists, some financial people. I'm sure there's quite a few other jobs, but I
Mhm.
would say 75% of university courses are unnecessary. There's nothing better than learn, work and learn and earn at the
Mhm.
same time. There's nothing better than that.
Makes sense.
And and,
And
and
the 4-day work week then,
oh, what a
what's your
load!
thoughts? What's
What a
your
load of
thoughts on that?
shit! What a load of shit! four
Yeah.
day working week is great for people that want a day off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But businesses for the employer, it's bad. For the employee, if he wants a day off, then why don't he work part time? But the problem you're going to get, it can work for some businesses, but you know, it can't work in hospitality, it can't work in retail, it can't work in manufacturing, it can't work in the NHS, it can't work in trades because you've got to get more people to cover it. But the clever so and so's that come up with a 4 day a week, they're not entrepreneurs, they're not bosses, they've not walked the walk.
Yeah.
They're like people that are pushing a bit of paper around or civil servants. I mean, yes, you know, a civil servant, you'd be lucky to get 3 days work out of him,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden he wants to do it in 4, and he was doing it in 5. My take is, if you was doing that job in 5 days before, but now you can do it in 4, then you never had 5 days work. Look, I know everyone's not going to agree with me, but you know, it's not the way to go forward for the economy. We need to do 6 days a week to get the economy going. So why would you, in the worst sort of financial position I've ever known, and people are talking about working from home 4 day a week, and they talk about this work-life balance, yeah?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I get it, you know what I mean? I get it. But in the same token, if you don't go to work, then you've got a worse work-life balance.
Yeah.
And, I know work keeps a lot of people going.
Mhm.
And I hear all these people that go, oh, I want family time. I want this. I'm not a slave. Yeah, okay, well, look, I get it. But, don't expect 5 days money for 4 days work. And as I say, if you want to do part time, then get a job that's part time.
Mhm.
I mean, we won't take on like somebody. Well, I'll put it like this: I won't give someone 5 days money for 4 days work. Maybe
Yeah.
that's a better way of putting
Yeah.
it.
If they wanted to do 4 days, then it's 4 days for 4 days' pay, essentially.
Well,
Yeah.
well, exactly.
Yeah, that's their choice. But it's almost like no part time, but it's
But do
less
you
than
do
full
you
time.
know any tradesmen that do a 4 day a week?
No.
No. Do you know any tradesmen that do a 6 day a week?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I know tradesmen do 7 day a week.
Yeah.
And, if you want better things in life, then you've got to go and work for it.
Yeah.
And success is out there, Jamie, but it won't come to you. You've got to go and find it.
Mhm. Makes sense. Makes sense. On the, I'm quite big on doing things in person. So the podcast is an example of that. And that, like, I don't believe in working from home. No, in my industry, certainly, and no in my business. I think it's good to get people together, have the energy there, a bit of community. You build up. You can be with somebody like 8, 9, 10 hours a day. That you're probably with these people longer than your family. I think it's better seeing them in person, building bonds, building a culture in the business rather than doing things online. And I've been similar with the podcast. Now it's a lot harder. This is our 3rd episode together. It's been much harder for me to travel down to London and see you, and for you ultimately to come up here for the 3rd one, for the 100th episode, which is much appreciated. But this would have been terrible if I just had 3 Zoom calls with you and it was online and it's a screen, and you just don't get the same
Jamie,
energy
look,
meeting somebody in
I'm agreeing with
person.
you.
You get better. You just get a better rapport. You can
Of
get to
course
know
you
each
do.
other,
Of
and
course you do.
you can have a laugh and stuff better. It's
Well,
just
it's you amalgamate with people. And I go back to what I'm saying, we all learn from somebody.
yeah,
And you can have, it's like, I believe people do interviews on like a computer, like, and then they employ them people. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's absolutely stupidity because, you know, they can dress it up, not face to face. When you're face to face, you look someone in the eye and you work out, you know, can I do business with this person? Do I want to do business?
yeah,
But all that they tell a million lies. As you've already seen with Rachel Reed to get a job, they can lie their way through the CV. Yeah, all of a sudden they get the job, and they're like a proper oddball. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I mean, I'm not just saying it.
yeah.
I took a plumber on once, right? Well, I didn't take him on. We had a job we was doing in anyhow, it was around Paddington. And it was for a restaurant. They wanted to open up Lively, and I've known the guy for years, Peter's Caff, and he had another one. And we had to like replumb out all the kitchen all over the weekend. So this was 40 years ago. And so we tried to get a few guys in without meeting. And we said, look, we got work, we want to meet you there. Anyhow, as sure as anything, I've turned up there to look at it, and there's a plumber there, right? And he's got one eye, right? And the fucking pipes were all over the place. I'm not kidding you. I'm telling you. And and like, and he worked with another couple of plumbers, and they're going to me. I said, well, you've got to tell him, you know what I mean? And if anyone's got a disability, and I get it, you know what I mean? But it's like, if you got one eye or one arm, you don't become a driving instructor.
Yeah.
And and I'm just saying, and it just didn't stack up, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't do that. And then, often when I've spoke to them all over the phone, they've sent their CV in, and you think they're okay. And all of a sudden they turn up at the door, and you think, I can't let this geezer in the door. He looks like a He looks like he's homeless. He looks like he's a fucking drug addict. He
Yeah.
looks like he's an alcoholic, and he's coming for a job. So you've got to meet people one to one. I mean, I'll ask you the question. I know the answer. Would you employ anyone without meeting them?
No. Nope.
That's it.
No.
And the reason you can say it with confidence, because you're in the business, there can be some people out
Yeah.
there that tell porcupines. They make out they're like they just make out they're the most tidiest person there is, and that.
I think
And
it's hard. I think it's already hard enough. Like with our interview process, people come in, so straight away they need to turn up for the interview.
there you go.
That's part. Like if they turn up, that shows that they've ticked the first box, and then I guess how they're presented, how they come across, will they meet our company values? But even in that interview, they can still bullshit you a bit, and then you get them in, and then sometimes you find out they aren't aligned to be here. But I think if you're like I've spoke to other roofing companies, and they think interviews are a waste of time, which they sometimes can be. But
How can it be an
but
interview be a waste of time, Jamie?
so just because if you interview the person, they sound okay, and then everything stacks up, it does make sense. Then they start, they
Yeah,
think that
but
that's a waste of time. But I don't think it's a waste of time.
no,
I
it's
think
not a waste
I
of time.
think once you do that, you maybe get 5 people in. 3 might be the right ones,
Of
2 might
course.
not be.
Look,
But there is people out there that's just saying, "Look, I know you're looking for a roofing job. Just come in and we'll
yeah,
give you a
okay. Well,
start on
look,
Monday. And if they show up, that's it." But I wouldn't want to put somebody straight out to work
of course you
on
wouldn't.
one of my
You've
customers'
got your
houses when I've
repetition.
never met them.
Look, look. Let's not let these oddballs telling us, you don't have to meet people. You don't interview. We're too clever to listen to them type of people. We know. I just said to you, we done it once and we come
Didn't work
unstuck.
out. Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm not listening to
And it's
these
not to
other
say
people.
like I've probably done it in the past as well, right?
We,
Oh, you're
we,
looking for a
you've
start,
done
but
it, but
maybe when the company was smaller, and I'd
yeah,
meet the
but
guy
you
in
wouldn't do it now,
the
Jamie.
yard in
You
the
wouldn't
Monday
do it
morning or
now,
something. Yeah,
and yes, people can con their way through an interview,
yeah,
but the experience and knowledge you've got, there ain't nobody. You ain't gonna have a guy in here that makes out he's a roofer and he ain't a roofer, and you give him a job because
yeah,
you just know how they behave. But I've seen people on my old company when I come away from the recruiting and they've come in like on their first week paying in, and I'm looking at the guy and I'm saying, who the fuck's took him on? And
yeah.
they went, so, and then they say to me, I say, are you blind or something? They go, what? I say, he's got a fucking tattoo on his head or cut me ear or something or fucking ear hole like hanging off. And I'm saying, they're going in customer's house. And they said, well, when he come from the interview, he hid this up and he didn't have this and he didn't have that. And, they dressed it up.
Yeah.
And I said, and I've seen 1 or 2 people walking about and I said, they've got to go. They've got to go. And they was even like, once they've got the job, their attitude changes. They're a bit like, oh, you need me more than I need you. And the thing I always do, Jamie, with people, and that doesn't matter, if I'm going to a restaurant or if I'm doing business with someone or going in a clothes shop with someone, I look at the person I'm dealing with and am I comfortable with them? How many times you go in a shop and you're already looking at the shop assistant and you're thinking, you're fucking getting on my nerves and I ain't even spoke to you yet. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, look, let me get you this. This has looked good on you. And you're like, goodbye. So we make our own mind up with people.
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of saying this, that's how I would, I know who I want to go and have a drink with. I want to know who I want to food with, who I want to live with, who I want to work with, who I want to spend my money with. And I go by my own instinct of that person.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm wrong. Some of these people are lovely people, but I'm not wrong that often. You've got to use your own instinct. And if you're wrong or right, so it be. But, you can't go on, oh, you don't need to interview me. And, it's like often, Jamie, I'm diversion a bit. When you buy something online, it looks $1 million. It turns out it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with
Yeah.
interviews.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's $1 million. Then you get this fucking oddball walking in with like one eye, one ear, and like, can't fucking speak English.
Squint pipes.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
and I'm not being unkind to them people, but you can't, they there's certain jobs for
I
them.
think really. So I've seen you saying some of this stuff online before, and people will have a go at it, and they'll say, "Oh, you're discriminating" or
Oh,
stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, your business is your business, not just you, but me and everyone. Everyone's business, it's their company, it's their business. Who they decide to bring in and have representing their, maybe sometimes it's their family name, company name, whatever they've came up with. It's a big deal. So you know,
of
you have
course
to
it
be in
is.
charge of how you want people to be represented. So Charlie, you've had a bit of hate online for people saying, "I thought you'd left the country. You're no wanting to pay any more tax here anymore," and all
Mm.
this sort of stuff. So what's been going on there? Because obviously you were one of the biggest taxpayers probably in the country for many years in the Pimlico days, and then
Mm. Well,
and then you've got WeFix again, so you're paying back into the economy. But what's the
well, unfortunately, we're a nation of knockers, and people don't like success. Um, and people say, "Oh, you've run away, you've jumped ship." No, I haven't run away. I jumped ship. I'm fed up of paying into the system because our money gets wasted. So I'm really just standing up for myself. I'm standing up for working people, and I'm not prepared to go down with a sinking ship. As simple as that. People can call me what they want to call me. All the names under the sun. It makes no difference to me. I'm driving the Rolls Royce and they're driving the Mini.
Mhm.
Look, all the hate shit. I've had it for years. But what I do know is, um, the hate is getting worse, right? And that normally means that you're doing better.
Mhm.
And since I started the new company, and we're doing okay, you start getting a lot of it. And if you drive a nice car, you get a lot of it. And they go on, I mean, a lot of people are baffled. I moved to Marbella, you do an interview like in here, and they're going, I thought you fucked off. I mean, have you never heard of an aeroplane? It's like you cannot believe the way these people are saying. But I'm not hiding nothing. I'm not running away from anything. But I'm not prepared to give my money for the government to waste anymore. The business We Fix London, it complies with the tax system, and we'll continue to do that. But if Labour make it too difficult, We Fix London will be We Fix Dubai.
Mm. Fair
But I
enough.
mean, Jamie, I'll ask you a question here. Do you
Mhm.
get the 8 mail and all that?
I'm not too bad.
No, but do you get some?
Yeah, there's a bit. I'm probably I'm not as outspoken as what you are. I've seen like maybe yourself and another couple that's online that you just are not scared to say what you've got to say, and I guess I've not got really that many strong opinions on like political matters and things like that as well.
Oh,
But
right. You're not very politically.
no, I'm not like I'm not out there sort of saying, look, I believe this, I believe that. So I probably play it quite safe if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
yeah,
So I don't get a massive amount
yeah.
of hate, but
Look,
the hate that you get, I think's
but-
crazy.
yeah,
Like and most of it's like
it's
you
personal.
look like this, you look
That's
like
right.
that,
That's what I mean. I mean,
and whenever I've met you, you've been totally bang on sound. The advice is great. There's
yeah.
certain things that you might say that I'm like, right, okay,
You don't agree
it's
with?
maybe no, but I would. It's not like I'm going to then hate everything about you and then
No,
be
but
like take
Jamie,
zero advice from you. Do you know?
we're
It's
all entitled to an opinion,
yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. But when they get personal, they've lost the argument, haven't they?
yeah,
Go, oh, look how he talks, look how he looks, look at his hair, look what he wears, look at this, look at that, and fucking look at my bank balance, maybe.
yeah.
In other words, yes, I'm a successful businessman, and many people have got sort of a great value out of working with me, and customers also. We're very much into helping charities. Well, I'm a lot more patriotic than what people think. You know, if I thought that we could turn this thing around with the Labour government in, I'll be back here tomorrow. You cannot turn it round with the government in. I'm just being as I see it. And people go, "Oh, you're not prepared to fight." No, I am prepared to fight. I'm prepared to stand up and saying to these people, "You need to make changes." And if we keep going along with it, it will get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
We need to be prepared to stand up, and I don't have a problem with that. And a little bit of name calling, I mean, that ain't gonna bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're arseholes,
So
aren't they?
do you see all that and do you just go like
Well,
you just
I'm
let it?
so used to it.
Does it ever affect you? Does it ever really? Does it ever actually get to you? Or because you seem to be quite strong about
Well,
it, but
look.
it must bring you down
Nobody
a bit.
like some of the things they say, but some of the things they say is like it's like school playground stuff. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, oh, you're this, you're that, and a lot of it is they haven't got the facts right. You know, oh, you pushed the backs, you sacked people, you got rid of a geezer because he had a heart attack. You don't pay any tax. You never help charities. You know, get your facts right.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'll say to them.
Yeah.
Get your facts. And you know,
I've had a couple of arguments online
I see you have.
when people have said around the like when you they said you were pushing the vaccine and it was like no jab, no, what was it? No
No
jab,
job,
no
no
job.
jab. Yeah.
Yeah,
No jab, no
no
job.
no jab, no job. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is the guy who sacked all his employees
Yeah.
because he never had the jab." But really, it was you never actually carried that out within the
Well,
business.
look,
It
look.
was
Let's
what was right at that time. It was the advice that the government was putting right onto
exactly.
everyone.
But put it on record is, I said that in September 2021, I said that anybody after September 2021, this is when with COVID was badly out there, I said we will not employ anybody less they've been jabbed
Yeah,
because customers wanted people that have been jabbed. People wanted to get the vaccination because we was led to believe that was the way forward. I never got rid of anybody. I never sacked anybody. And when we got round to, I think it was about September, October, all of a sudden COVID disappeared. So that went out the window. I wasn't like going to sack anybody. I weren't forcing anybody. Look, I had my daughter working for me and her husband, and she said we're not going to get a vaccination. I said I don't blame you. Whatever you see it,
yeah,
I'm just saying from a I done it on the basis of protecting customers and protecting staff.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
and
protecting the business because there was a lot of people that might have said you're not coming in then if you've
well,
not had it. So it was a
Well,
really
that's what I'm saying. I mean, when our engineers were turning up at the job, they was testing themselves like on the customer's door before they could go in. The customer wanted that,
yeah,
and and we come out with the testing thing before the government. I'd come out with that idea.
yeah,
What a great idea! So, at the time we was carrying out. I mean, rather than people get on with me, get onto the scientists, get onto the government, get onto the people doing the jab kind of thing.
yeah,
All I said is we won't be employing people that have not been that have not had the jab. And then all of a sudden it disappeared. I mean, got to remember, we've never had it before. People are dropping dead down like flies. Hospitals are full up. The roads are full of like ambulances backwards and forwards. You know what I
hmm
mean? And oh, this one's been gone to hospital. I mean, so and we're told this is the guidelines to follow.
yeah,
And, the people said to me, I think I only had one jab in the end, but at the time, I hadn't had the jab, right? And they go, oh, have you had it? And I said, no, I'm just being honest. I hadn't had it, but
yeah,
yes, of course I got it. You know what I mean? But people are going, oh, he's forcing people even he had it. But I was just being honest. At that particular time, I hadn't had it. And probably the reason being was just you get too busy and you think, oh, look, I'll get it sorted. Then all of a sudden you think, hold on a second, why am I? So,
yeah,
look, look, I've got nothing to apologise about. You know what I mean? I didn't force anybody.
yeah.
And, for the people that allegedly have suffered from it, I feel very sorry for that type of person and things that have happened. But I believe that a lot of people, it saved their life. It probably, you know, where would we have been if somebody didn't come up with some form of answer? I
Mm.
mean, you've got to remember people were stuck in their houses. You couldn't go to work. You couldn't go on public transport. You couldn't go in a restaurant. So someone's coming up with this is the solution. I mean, I remember going to Dubai just as it broke out, and got to the airport and you had to have what do you call it, a
A
certificate to say you've
certificate,
had
yeah,
the
yeah,
jab
yeah,
or been tested, the
yeah,
test.
yeah,
And they was like charging bundles. So I got refused on the aeroplane. So I go and get tested and get okay. Well, the aeroplanes were really saying to you, unless you've had the jab, basically you ain't getting on my plane
yeah,
or you got to get a test. So, why are they knocking me? Why are they not knocking all these? I say, if you want to blame anybody, blame the scientists.
mhm,
I mean, they told us this is what we need to do. But look, it's history now, Jamie,
mhm,
and
mhm.
I think it's all about now
It's
of
good you've cleared it up though, because I see a lot of people shouting about it back and forward, and I just knew you personally, and I knew that that wasn't the case. That there wasn't like hundreds of people getting sacked and saying,
Yeah,
no,
I
you've
mean,
not got
look,
a.
you know yourself,
And sometimes I just think as well, it's like there's everything you've done in your full career and it's served you really well is PR. So putting that no job, no
no
jab, no
jab, no
job,
job.
it's a PR
Yeah.
stunt as well. It
Look,
goes
yeah.
everywhere and everybody sees it. It
Yeah, but
probably,
I was being honest about it.
yeah,
The way it was is, how can I have all my staff that may have had the jab? We even had a big like a testing machine, a bigger one that you walk through, like at the airports.
mhm,
Had it put in their reception, so everyone that came in that building had to have it. We followed all the guidelines,
yeah,
and that's all we've done. And if you didn't follow the guidelines, you weren't going to go to work or you'll be out of business. And I'll tell you what, customers that was ringing up and they was like, do you know whether he's had the vaccination? Well, if you want an engineer that has, we'll make sure we send you one.
mhm,
But, most people went and had the jab because they felt that was needed and that's what the government was saying.
yeah,
But it never cost anyone their job. And I just think it's just taken out of proportion. And, I think we've got better things to worry about than worrying about, like, what I said and what I didn't say. I mean, look, most of them, you know what I'm trying to say, they're
yeah.
anti-vax people and all of a sudden they feel that they can attack. But, that's it. Look, it's been and gone. It's history. Let's move on.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody just did what the government was asking, essentially. So up to now, current times, obviously you've been quite vocal in saying the government's not getting things right. There's a lot being said around Rachel Reeves.
Reeves.
What's your kind of take on that? What's your thought process? Because you have been quite vocal in the media
Yeah,
around
look,
that.
I've done a couple of TV interviews on it, and she needs to be got rid of immediately. I mean, not only was she lied on the CV, she's lying about this letting license. I mean, Rachel Reeves is everybody's fault but her own. How can you have, probably a third most important politician in the country lying? Also, she's not done a very good job with the job she's supposed to be doing. I mean, she's crippled the workplace.
Yeah,
She's killed the economy. So, I say to myself, would I employ her? The answer's no. What the hell are we letting her doing, like, Chancellor of the Exchequer for, the important job of that? She needs to go as quick as possible. I have nothing personal against her, but she would be gone today. We should have been gone when they knew about the lying on the
mhm,
CV. Anybody that lies for a job and you find them out and they've got to go,
mhm.
because what else are they going to lie about? Look, nobody's perfect, and all I'm saying is the position she's in, she needs to be gone immediately. And of course, she'll be gone early next year. They're going to let her take the bit of stick for the budget, and then she's got to go. Of course, she has.
Yeah, and I think when this comes out, the budget's just going to have been. So this will probably come out early December, and I know it's end of November. The
Right.
budget's going to
So
be.
reword that.
What's your sort of? We can't get your take on how it's been, but what's your thoughts? What do you think's going to come in the budget? Do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, look, undoubtedly what's going to come in the budget is, first of all, let's not kid anyone. Everyone will be financially worse off. Uh, they attack the rich people all the time, but they are now attacking, the normal middle or working class people. They're robbing them left, right, and centre. They're going to increase income tax. They're going to increase, maybe you don't even know, VAT. They will put a tax on everything they possibly can, and even on the wealth tax. I mean, someone's worked all their life, old people. They've got this lovely house and might be worth a couple of mil. They want to leave it to their family. Now they're going to be hit with a wealth tax. Well, what it means is they're going to get rid of that house, and people are not going to be inspired to buy an house,
Mhm,
knowing that, I mean, they're thieves, the government. They're crooks in suits. I
mhm.
mean, you've already paid tax to buy that property. You've worked hard. You want to give it to your children, and then, oh no, inheritance tax, oh, wealth tax. I mean, it's just like daylight robbery. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if you remember where the daylight robbery comes from. Do you know where it comes from?
When they started boarding up the windows,
Yeah,
was it?
and because
Because it
They
was a tax on windows,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
on daylight robbery, so
Yeah,
they call it that. Well, I would not be surprised if her next move is that.
yeah,
And saying, "Well, you got 8 windows, we tax you." I'm telling you now, there's no level that they won't go
yeah.
to rob people. I mean, we say it as being a bit sarcastic, but if they could tax fresh air, they would.
Mhm.
And
Definitely.
I'll tell you, the window one. I mean, people look at me as if say, "No, they're they've run out of money."
So are you of the opinion that nothing would surprise you with them now, that they're not even caring about the backlash, they'll just keep doing it and
Well, they've
just
got no
keep going and
choice
going?
because they're overspending,
Yeah, they've got
and
their
you can
cell in a
only
black
get
hole.
money off of people that pay tax. That's where all the money comes
Yeah.
from. Businesses, you get your wages, your tax. You go and spend money, your tax. You save it, your tax. You give it away, your tax. You die, your tax. I
Mhm.
mean, it's an out and out liberty. I'll be honest with you, an out and out liberty, we just need to make a stand against it.
Yeah. On a more positive note then, what's the future of WeFix, and for Charlie Mullins to sort of finish us off on a high note? Where do you see things going, and what's the future? Some
Okay.
positivity, hopefully.
Uh, well, undoubtedly. I mean, I ain't going to let no government stop WeFix from being successful. It's not going to happen. We've got too much like drive and push, and it's not going to happen. They're not going to destroy WeFix. All it's making me do is work harder and fight harder against them. Rather than working together, we're like fighting against them. Look, WeFix will continue to grow. It will be the main or superior service company in London. That's their plan. I'm on a mission. I don't necessarily want to fuck the Americans up, but I want to show them how to run a business. I sold them a thriving business. They've changed it like into like names and numbers and bottom lines. So I will show them how they should run a proper business. And so we fix will continue to grow, hopefully with the help of good staff and customers using us. People will always pay for quality. So there's a bright future for WeFix. Um, for me, I'm going to stick to living in Marbella and Dubai, and I visit the UK as less as I possibly can, and if and when reform get in and Nigel Farage becomes Prime Minister, I will happily work with him on getting youngsters into work.
Brilliant. And taking this apprenticeship program on, and really driving that.
Well, look, the apprenticeship program, you need government backing and supporting, and I think if you sat down at a table with somebody from government that's got a bit of common sense, I think they would,
And is
look.
Nigel up for this? Has he sort of said that he thinks that would be a helpful thing, bringing in the government funded apprenticeships, getting more sort of help there?
Well, how would I say that? If I've had a conversation with it, I'm not prepared to repeat it. If I'm being
Yeah, yeah,
honest,
yeah.
but he's not an idiot. He knows that.
So you think he'll listen? Is basically what you're saying? Is he'll listen
Hundred
to you?
percent,
Yeah, and
hundred
that's
percent,
what we need.
100%,
Yeah,
100%. I mean, you've got to to grow the economy. We've got to get people into work, and the best way to get people into work is from school level.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, it's a no-brainer.
yeah.
But um,
And,
yeah.
and on WeFix then. So you said you never had the end goal vision that you had with Pimlico at the beginning. It just sort of grew and grew, and then you made sense of it as it all came together. Would there ever be an exit plan in terms of trying to sell the business WeFix again, or is WeFix going to be a legacy that runs forevermore and keeps going through the generation, or have you not thought that far ahead?
Well, look, it's it was yeah, yeah. Look, it's my son, grandson. They're also founders. Um, you know, whenever whatever they decide to do with WeFix, I'd like to be around. You know what I mean? Let alone support it. Whatever they decide, but I actually think it'll grow and grow, and I think it could even go to a lot more out of London. So, but that's their choice, however they see it. All I know is that if Labour make it too difficult to run a business, then we'll move out.
Yeah,
But I say they'll have to get up very early in the morning to fuck us up at WeFix,
Yeah. Good stuff. Charlie, I appreciate it once again. Thanks for coming up and doing the 100th episode. I hope you've enjoyed your trip up to Scotland. I know it's your first time. I hope you've liked the Taylor Roofs HQ. You've liked the podcast studio, Taylor Talks Trades, and I wish you all the best in the future, mate. Thanks again.
Thank you, and I am very, very impressed with the setup. Absolutely, I think it's amazing what you've done here, and I'd like to come back in 12 months' time and see how far you've grown with the business.
Yeah.
And I get a feeling that you would have grown a fair amount, because what you're doing is the right way. And Jamie, I know people are learning from you. I know people have learned from me. And I use that saying, everybody learns from somebody. And I've picked up a good few tips here today myself.
Good man. Perfect. Thanks again, Charlie.
Cheers, mate.
Top man. Well, guys, thank you for watching to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. As always, please remember to subscribe and leave a comment down below to let us know what you thought. I'm really privileged to have taken this podcast to 100 episodes. When I first started it out, it was always a dream of mine to get Charlie Mullins on the podcast. I never thought I would ever have him on, never mind once, but 3 times has been pretty special. But it's all thanks to you guys on coming on this journey with us and continuing to support the show. So I'll see you on the next one.